Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Hey, it's Andrew Beach, Executive Coach. I'm a teacher of self-education. I help professionals like you communicate their value to find great opportunities faster, whether you're working or not. That's through a pragmatic branding and professional networking process. If that's something you're interested in, stick around. This is Career Happy Hour, everybody, 3 p.m. Pacific time on the West Coast here in Portland, Oregon. It is Career Happy Hour, and I welcome you all. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Sometimes the audio doesn't come through. We're broadcasting live right now on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, and what's the other one? Facebook, YouTube, Periscope. Oh, LinkedIn. How could I be so forgetful? Let me know where you're joining from in the chat, please. Have a lot of thoughts to share with you this week, and something that I'm feeling that I wanted to share with you. And hopefully it resonates with you as well, that we can have some time here without the auspices of the, perfectly safe place that we're all coming from. I made a change today because I felt like we were coming from a position of, hey, this is my home studio. Well, I took down all the backdrops, opened up the curtains, and now I am broadcasting without any of that sick stuff behind me. So hopefully you guys are okay with that. A little more transparent, because I want to be transparent with you. This is what the home studio looks like. It's not anything special. It's a camera and a computer and a microphone. That's it. And we can either be controlled by our limitations, or we can own our limitations and work with our limitations to make things happen. One of the things I'm really thinking about today is the noise. There is a lot of noise in the marketplace. At least in my world, in my life, there's a lot of noise. Are you feeling me? Is anybody else feeling a lot of noise where they're joining from? Good to see you, Tracy. Looks like we have a handful of folks here. I'm just going to wait for some people to come into the to the broadcast today. Let me get into LinkedIn. Looks like that's Teresa and Leif. Good to have you. Leif, for whatever reason, your privacy settings are showing that you're a LinkedIn user on my side, but that's okay. Not a big deal. Good. Hi, Deborah. Good to see you again. Welcome back. If you could please, if you're just joining here today, there is a little share button. I think it's over here, maybe right about there. There's a share button. Just take a second. I can wait. It's all right. Click that share button and see if we can't get more people involved in this thing called Career Happy Hour. It's 3 p.m. Pacific time every Friday. And based on current events, I'm likely to be here broadcasting next Friday, which is day after Thanksgiving, a day in America, at least, United States, that most people are not working. So I think it's important that I'm here because there's a lot of noise in the marketplace. What noise are you hearing? So we're here to support each other. What I'd really like you to do, if you have a chance, two things. I'm only asking two things here today. One, click the share button down below. Just share this broadcast. Get more people involved if we can. I think that would be wonderful. And then share your LinkedIn profile address in the chat so that people can see it. I want us to be a community that connects people and supports each other. There's regulars here. I can see them, right? There's Terry, there's Deborah, there's Teresa, there's Leif. There's people here that are regulars. And I'd really like to see you all connect with each other and build relationship. Remember, it takes about 50 hours to create a friend. Have you invested 50 hours yet? Just an idea. Let me share that research with you because I found it quite fun and encouraging to read. What does it take to create a friend? Do you know? It takes at least 50 hours time to create a friend. Okay. I'll put that in the chat here. Let me see. There we go. Time to create a friend. Let me put it in both chats. Good. So there is a link. Yeah, put your links in there. Put your links to your LinkedIn profile so that you can connect with each other. And I encourage you not only connect, but take it offline and have a dialogue, an actual conversation with another human being who's got a pulse and a purpose. Each one of you likely have a pulse and a purpose. Hey, Joel, good to see you. Tracy, thank you for that. Just go ahead and put that in the chat. I really appreciate the capacity for all of us to support each other. And then I'm going to put it on you that 30 seconds watching the Golden Girls. Yeah. There, you know what? It's funny. There's lots of noise in the marketplace, right? Lots of noise in the news, lots of noise in government, right? Lots of noise everywhere. And there's 6 weeks to the rest of this year, 6 weeks that we still have to get hired, it's 6 weeks. It's not a big deal. You know, I recognize you might take off Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, whatever religious holiday that you observe, and you will have time, believe me, you will have time to network. And guess what? Everybody else will too. I know a lot of organizations, not during COVID, but in the past, would shut down the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's. Many people will take holiday, would take a vacation and travel during that time. Guess what's not going to happen this year? There's a lot of people not traveling. There's a lot of people having Friendsgiving over Zoom. There's a lot of people not going anywhere that still have a thirst for connection. And we've been talking about this, and Terry could probably validate this. And we've been talking about this now for 7 months. People are at their homes. They're working from home. They're available. They're not commuting. They're zoomed out. A lot of them are zoomed out. And I'm not suggesting you go meet people in person, but you know what? If you're comfortable with that, go for it. And if they're comfortable with that, go for it. People are Zoom fatigued. When is this going to end? Well, I don't suspect it will end. So let's assume for now that lockdowns and masks and distancing is permanent. Can we make that assumption and just shut out the noise? Shut out the noise. Shut out the doubt. Shut out the fact that people are believing that nobody's hiring. Shut out the noise about the marketplace, that there aren't any jobs available, that companies are laying off and reducing force and reorganizing. Every action that a company takes is an opportunity for you to add value. Sorry about that. Sounds like my alarm system's going off in the background. She's only 25 pounds. She won't hurt anybody. But what I'm suggesting here is you should take an opportunity to shut that noise out. Only thing you control is your mindset and your activities. Your mindset and your activities. So what is the mindset that we should create? Everybody's hiring. Everybody has opportunities, whether they're advertised or not. All people are isolated. Let's make some assumptions, some gross assumptions, just to get a mindset going. Not that these things are all true, but in your mind, they could be true. They could be your own reality. And that is that everybody's hiring. Everybody wants to be connected, a part of a community. Everybody wants to have purpose, and you should be a part of that. We talked about the person a day challenge, and I'm going to take it another step here during the holidays. What about 2 people a day? Just for the next 6 weeks. Could we do 2 people a day next 6 weeks? I think we could. I'm even suspecting that I might join you on this, because I've been seeing a lot of people reach out to me on LinkedIn and through the email that I haven't followed up with. And that's on me. I will admit, I have not been good about following up with people. Whatever it is, let's assume that all companies are hiring. Now, by the way, if you have any questions, go ahead and put those in the chat. I'm happy to answer. That's the first thing. Put them in the chat. I will answer those questions as they come up. That's the first thing. Second thing, there is a link in the description. If you want to come on live and get hands-on coaching with me right now, we can do that. We can do that. But that's up to you. I mean, if you want to come on, just click the link in the description. It's hands-on coaching live with me. You'll come up side by side, and we'll provide you support that way. Okay. Again, this is Career Happy Hour. It's an opportunity for you to get your questions answered about career, about resume, if you must, networking, interviewing, market planning, any perspectives you want on LinkedIn. I've been on LinkedIn since 2004. I've seen the evolution. I understand how the platform works for the most part. So if you have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer those. There's lots that we can do to help each other here. Okay. So if you would please, and you're just joining, looks like we now got over, I think it says 22 people here on LinkedIn. I don't know if that's including me. It probably is 21 people. Good. Two different conversation about this just today. There's a lot of noise in the market. There's a lot of noise on LinkedIn. There's a lot of noise in the news. How do we shut that out just for the next 6 weeks? Next 6 weeks. I recognize we don't control whether or not companies are making decisions for our benefit. We don't control whether or not the hiring process is long or short. We don't control a lot of things in the world, but there's two things we control. We control our mindset and we control our activities. And if we can have a mindset that everybody's hiring and the best way to find work is through networking, and we've been taking the person a day challenge, what about 2 a day? For those of you who have been doing 1 a day, 2 a day might not be a big deal. For those of you that haven't, start off with the 1 a day, 1 person a day. Just have a conversation, a dialogue. Even if you have to pick up your cell phone and just scroll through your little names there and hit something and call people until somebody answers, then that's what we're talking about. We don't let the sun go down without talking to 1 person, new person each day. Share a branding statement, reconnect, find out if they're okay. See how we can help them, be of service to them. Volunteering is also a good opportunity this time of year. So if you're open to that, find yourself a volunteer experience. Absolutely. What questions do you have? Put those in the chat. If you would, please, if you haven't done so already, just hit the little share button. I'd appreciate that. Helps spread the name or the word about this community. And it is a community. I'm here to serve you. The only thing I ask is you share this to your networks. Whether you do that through private message or publicly on LinkedIn, doesn't really matter to me. Yes, I did get a haircut. Thank you for noticing. Appreciate that. Good. So what questions do you have? Let me get the link to join here and put that in the chat as well for y'all. So if you want to join live and come into today's session, you can do that. Join live. There we go. Okay, good. Let's see what we got in terms of questions here. They're starting to come in. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate you. Let's see. What does Tracy say? What does Tracy say? Tracy says companies are hiring and contracting, still growing in the security and cloud marketplace. Let's assume everybody's hiring. Let's assume everybody's growing. Everybody's hiring somebody, because a lot of organizations have pulled back to be uber conservative, and the economy kept going. I think that's what's interesting. These companies pulled back. They were conservative, maybe furloughed some people, and they were really kind of overcorrecting, overcompensating. And now they're in a position like, wow, the economy's still going. Maybe what I need to do here is take an opportunity to rehire people, bring them back from furlough, and dial up the notch. So yes, people are getting hired. So looks like we have Raul here in the waiting room. Let me send Raul a little chat here. Raul, if you're going to come in, what I'd really advocate is that you close your window, that you close the window that has LinkedIn on it, if that's where you came from, or not. So it looks like he's gone. That's all right. Anyway, yes, companies are hiring. Listen to music in the background. Yes. So I don't know who put that in. Yes. So a lot of people talk about this idea of a pipeline, and I don't know if I would call it a pipeline, but I'd certainly call it. Now is the time to build your pipeline. Thank you for that contribution. I don't know who it is because it says, let's see who that was. Joining from Portland. Hello, everyone. Yes, now is the time. Now, I don't know if you want to call it building your pipeline, because the thing is, so what? It's so funny you bring that up. It must be another salesperson here in the chat, but I don't see a name. But the idea of a pipeline is that you're filling your funnel and something's going to come out the bottom. So yes, fill your funnel. But here's the thing, you don't control all the time that there's opportunity, tangible or not. What you control is your mindset and your actions. So if your actions are one to two people a day, conversation, networking, and my mindset is everybody's hiring and I'm going to approach that from a position of contribution, then I have an opportunity to meet new people based on where I came from and getting introduced to others. So let's say, Zai reaches out to Terry and Terry introduces her to somebody else. And then it goes on and on. It's like a snowball. And if we get good at this and we use the tools that I recommend, which are the networking checklist, that's available on my website at andrewbeach.com. Get the networking checklist off my website, andrewbeach.com. The other one is my podcast. The podcast I do with Scott Picard-Jones is Job Seekers Radio. Go take a listen to the podcast. Download the Anatomy of a Networking Conversation. These tools are available free for you. Free is a pretty good price, I think. So that's something to think about. Get in there, download the resources, see what you can do to activate things. And yes, if you want to call it building your pipeline, fine. It's building your pipeline. If you want to call it something else, then of course, call it something else. Okay. Looks like we have a question here from Raul. Raul, welcome. Good to have you. This is a community. Everybody, click on Raul's profile and ask him to connect. Okay. Raul Chiriboga. Hopefully I got that right. I don't mean to butcher anybody's name, so I apologize. I transitioned to unemployed status in May. Fortunately, I had reserves to take some time off. I'm now ready to get back into the workforce. How can I represent this time off to prospective employers? Networking is your answer. And it's funny, I don't know if some of my regulars are here or not, but the road to most all things leads to networking. The beauty, Raul, of networking, open hands. If I come to a networking situation with open hands, nothing up my sleeve, right? This isn't magic. I'm not doing a bait and switch. I'm creating relationship. I'm having conversation of strategic significance to both parties. What are the odds they're going to ask me whether or not I'm out of work and how long I've been? You're not, right? So the idea here is first, think networking. How can I network to the type of people that make decisions about my need, or not my need, about my area of expertise and how people get placed in that company? That's what I'm going to find out. Can I find that out from somebody inside the company or outside the company? Who could I talk to? Have this conversation, establish my value prior to, okay, application resume. So if I have a relationship that precedes application resume, I'm already at the front of the line, aren't I? Aren't I at least in consideration for a first or second round interview? Of course I am, okay? So the idea here is if we're going to rely on application resume front door, then yes, they're going to evaluate me based on my written documents. And that's not always helpful. What is helpful? Well, having a relationship so that your resume ends up on somebody's desk and it's secondary, it's ancillary. It's a side note, a footnote to the hiring process. They're going to judge us based on a relationship because they're, and there doesn't have to be all consuming trust. I put that 50 hours article in the chat. You can read that. But the idea here is you don't need all consuming trust to get to the front of the line. You just need to know somebody and have the rubber stamp, if you will. So don't think that's an end all be all. Now, how do I represent that to prospective employers? Well, there's two things. One, you need to have a pretty solid exit statement, right? That says, here's why I'm looking for work. You need to have an answer to that. Why are you looking for work? And it's not unique. It's not unique, by the way, to you. Everybody gets asked that question. Everybody wants to know, at least in a hiring capacity, why you're in the marketplace. They want to know your motivation. They want to know if you're a flight risk. And yes, it may be logical if you took some time off that they want to understand your gap in employment. Hey, I took a sabbatical, a mental sabbatical to just gather my thoughts and process the pandemic. That's logical to me. Now, if you took 6 months off and you tell them, hey, I took 6 months off because I wanted to, took my convertible my convertible Corvette and went on a road trip for 6 months, that's a little bit different. I'm not suggesting that isn't valid, but I would say I took a sabbatical. That's probably a more, how would you say it, PC, diplomatic way of saying that what you did. Okay. Good. Hi, Joe. Good to see you. Looks like there's somebody here working the built environment, commercial office, real estate, government schools. How do you think this industry will fare in the short and long term? I think commercial office real estate is going to go through an inversion, and it's not going to be pretty. I believe that a lot of cities and municipalities will have to change their land use planning law because the people are not going to be coming back to an office, and the recovery there is going to be long. So if I was to look into a crystal ball and tell you what that market looks like, my suspicion is if we keep on the trend or had kept on the trend where we were going to pursue a policy of, American exceptionalism and bring all our manufacturing back to the United States, my suspicion is there would be a need for industrial. So a lot of that real estate that's out there now is likely going to be transitioned from commercial, retail, that sort of thing to industrial manufacturing. But what do I know? So good. Thank you for those contributions. I don't have the answers, but that would be my suspicion. I also believe that there's going to be a renaissance in restaurants. A lot of the restaurants that have gone out, these people are going to retire. They're probably never coming back. But you're going to see a whole host of people decide to start restaurants. And there's going to be a lot of very inexpensive restaurant space available, along with a glut of machinery, right? The equipment for restaurants. I think that's going to be had at dimes on the dollar. That's just my impression, my suspicions. I don't know if they're true or not, but that's what I would guess. So let's see. LinkedIn user is Joe Cupano. So here's the thing, you guys, what I would suggest, and I don't know why this is so, but you might have some privacy settings that don't make things visible to others. And I don't, it's not a big deal to me, but I'm just wondering if you have your privacy settings in a way that third parties or other people don't see it, then that's a challenge. So let's see. There's some new comments here. Let me see what we got. Well, let me refresh the screen. I can't see the comments. Sorry. You're welcome. Fill the funnel. I'm trying to get to the comments here and I can't seem to see them for some reason. So I apologize for that. I'm working through the technology. If you want to come on live, you can certainly click the, click the link in the chat and you can get some hands-on support from me if you want to. Okay. I don't know what this free 99 is. What is that? Bill. I don't know. Bill, what did you have something you wanted to contribute for 99? I don't know what that means. So put something more detailed in the chat if you would. Eric has a question here. Thank you, Eric. I have a 3-year gap in my work experience. It has never come up in an interview. Thank God. It's not about your situation or your circumstance. It's about the value they believe you bring to them. Can you solve their problem? Are you good at articulating your value? Can you utilize the skills and experiences you do have in a story format to sell yourself at the interview? Now, selling yourself isn't always being able to convince others that you're the right person. It might be asking good questions. Had you ever thought about this? Had you ever done things this way? So yes, it's a capacity to speak confidently about your skills, but it's also your capacity to say, hey, what are you guys doing in this space? How are you approaching this sort of strategic initiative, right? So think about it from that perspective. Good. Thank you, Craig, for the question. Good to see you, my friend. Questions regarding recruiter engagement. Also, minor question regarding connecting via mobile device with option to add note. Yes, I'm not sure what you're talking about regarding recruiter engagement, but I can speak to mobile device on LinkedIn. one of the idiosyncrasies of the mobile device is that it doesn't offer you an opportunity to add a note. Why? Primarily because the mobile device, just think of it, it doesn't have pop-ups typically. Okay, so if we're talking about adding a note to something, you have to go to a separate link to do that. And it's not like the desktop experience where you click that button and it does a pop-up. The mobile device doesn't typically have any pop-ups on it, doesn't allow that. So they have to use some other method. So that's why they do that. But yes, you have to click the more button. More button on mobile, Craig. More button on mobile. Then you'll have a selection there. Personalize your request. Okay, good. Okay, thank you for that. You said free is great. Yeah, it is great. Thank you for that. Let's see here. Deborah, thank you. Welcome. Good to have you. Seems like LinkedIn had a recent upgrade that messed up the previous settings. I had to redo an image, reset some settings of public that had been my previous. Yeah, I can't claim to know exactly what LinkedIn did, but they're making changes all the time. That's why you need to actively manage your LinkedIn profile. You can't allow it to go stale. Make adjustments. I would actually be in my LinkedIn profile probably a couple times a week, just making adjustments, fine-tuning some language, adjusting your headline to see if you can get some new hits on the search, right? Just as you're searching for open positions likely on LinkedIn or Indeed or any other, you set up a search parameters. Recruiters and hiring managers doing the same thing to find quality talent like you. So it's funny how there's some dissonance there in the language they're using versus what you might be using. So switch it up for sure. Good. Okay, just trying to be funny. Yeah, I'm unsure because when they come across, they don't show a name on my side. So I apologize for that. It's just one of the limitations of the streaming service that I have. Okay, but if you have any questions, go ahead and put those in the chat. Happy to answer. If you want to come on live, you can do that. There's a link in the description. Click that link, come right in, and we'll have a conversation right now about your needs and how I can help you. Okay. Outside of that, I'd like to hear from everybody. How's the person a day challenge going? Are you meeting your KPIs? Are you getting somewhere? Are you meeting new people? Are you gaining traction? Have you established yourself some confidence? Do you have a system that's working for you that way? Okay. What is it? Oh, looks like we got Craig in here. Hey, Craig, I'll get to you in just a second. I want to reiterate, folks, that we're here as a community. We're here to support each other. Please reach out to each other, have conversations offline, have a coffee chat or a virtual happy hour, whatever works for you, and get to know somebody else. Invest that 50 hours in a person and see what happens. I think you'll be shocked at the things that come out of it that are, how would you say it? Side effects. Kind of anecdotal or ancillary benefits that you never expected. And part of that is confidence. So let's see what Craig has to say here. Craig, if you could make sure that you turn off your LinkedIn so we don't get any kind of background noise, that would be great. And then we'll bring you in here. Craig.
Hello, Andrew.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you. Thanks for asking. Appreciate that.
So the couple of questions I had was I'm now getting reached out to by recruiters. Mm-hmm. And for example, I got reached out. I called them back. We had a call, sent them my resume, and then followed up for the next steps and to have a conversation with a hiring manager. Mm-hmm. And like I've heard previously, people kind of go silent. So the question I have is, when is a good time to reach a recruiter? And what is the frequency you think is appropriate to follow up with them without being a pest?
Yeah. If it's an active opportunity, I have no problem every 3 days.
Okay.
48-hour cadence. But here's the thing. I really think if I got a recruiter on the line, I'm emailing in my resume as long as I'm not updating it, right? If they send me a rec and I want to customize, that's one thing. But if we're talking about search firms, was this a search firm or was this an internal recruiter?
Internal recruiter.
Okay. So then did you know what the opportunity was?
They called me with the opportunity. They explained it to me, and then I went online to check the actual description and job description online as well.
Okay. And what did you establish as a day and time you were going to follow up with that recruiter?
We didn't. She just said, send me the resume and we'll have the hiring manager contact you next week, or we'll set up a time next week for you to speak with the hiring manager. I sent the resume. That next week contact didn't happen, so I followed up myself on Friday of that week, saying, hey, I know you're busy. I just wanted to go figure out what the next steps are and set up a time to meet with the hiring manager so we can discuss the opportunity further.
Right.
Sent an email, no response. The beginning of next week, probably Tuesday, I made a nice phone call to the voicemail indicating I had sent the resume and I had followed up with her again. Just looking forward to our next conversation. So it's possible we fill the role. It's possible. So at this point,
so Craig, who controls that whole process?
What do you mean?
Well, who controls the hiring process?
She does.
Okay. So that means you don't. Is that right?
Absolutely. Okay. I do not.
Right. So all we control is our mindset and our activities. And that's kind of like the topic of today. So the activity is, hey, it sounds to me like you did everything necessary to stay top of mind with them. And I would put them on some kind of recurring touch base, if you want to call it that. And then I go to the next opportunity.
Okay.
And I'm sure that's what you did.
But absolutely. I also found another opportunity within that same company.
Right.
One was sales focused. The other one is marketing focused, which I'm adept at both. So I'm just going to fill out an application or submit a resume for the marketing part of it, and then through LinkedIn find out if I can identify who the marketing personnel is and maybe reach out to them directly.
Yes, good.
Would you recommend I try to find out perhaps who the hiring manager is for the opportunity that I filled out before and reach out to them directly?
Yes, I'm interested in your company, not in a position. I'm interested in a topic, not a job.
Okay. Right.
Because that's how I establish credibility. If I make it about me and my need for employment, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
I'm coming from a position of demand, and that is typically results in deflection.
I was watching a webinar, and it was being hosted, if you will, by a VP of a company. I really liked her presentation. She had great energy. And so my idea is to reach out to her via LinkedIn. I saw your podcast or I saw your presentation. I really like your philosophy about business. I feel I have attributes that would be of value to the organization. I have a lot of qualifications that I think would fit. Can you carve out a few minutes to speak with me about how I can be of value to your organization? Is that an appropriate kind of way to engage?
Who is that conversation about that you just described?
I see what you're saying. Too much about me and not enough about them.
Right.
Got it.
And so look, pay attention when you're reaching out to somebody cold like that. How often are you using the word I, me, my skills, my expertise? How can I fit into your organization? Can you tell me where I fit? Right. So now I'm making the conversation focused on me rather than her.
Right.
And the topic that was displayed to which you maybe could talk about. You know, I'm really interested in diving deeper on best practices around whatever that is, right?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Well, absolutely, yeah. Make it more about them, my interest in what kind of culture, values that their company provides and
that she has, right? So it's not about the company, it's about her.
Right.
Her company is about her and her career path and her perceptions and her leadership principles and, you know, her education and her career path, right? We're talking about a person. We're just trying to walk to first base, my friend. You know what I mean?
No, understood.
You can't walk from home to third base. That just doesn't work. It's backwards. You're going around the bases the wrong way.
Got it. Last but not least, what kind of lighting system do you use for your computer?
Lighting? What do you mean?
It looks like you have a light.
Oh, yeah. So I mean, if you know this room, it's literally got what, 7 windows in it. So I honestly, I don't need light, but what happens is the light comes up and then it comes down and it's not consistent. So I bought 2 of these. They're actually Neewer. It's a 2-pack. I could try to find it. I could email it to you, but
Perfect.
it's just 2 spots up on either side of me that just light up my face. Like your room, I've got a bunch of can lights in the ceiling. They're all turned off, right? They blow out the picture, so I don't go that direction. But anyway, yeah, I
All
can
right.
send you a link on that. They're very
Appreciate it.
inexpensive. They came with
Thank you.
selfie sticks. Anyway, I kind of like that because then I
To
can
you
put
and
other
everyone
things
on
on
the
top.
call, happy Thanksgiving. Hope everybody has a safe and
Yep,
fun, as best as you can in COVID Thanksgiving.
you got it. Thank you, buddy. Be well. Excellent. All right. Thanks for that, Craig. Do appreciate you being brave enough to come on today's stream live. If you want to get support like that Craig just got, by all means, come in, click the link in the description, and I'd be happy to provide you some guidance. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know why it's so blurry. I think it has a lot to do with the stream connection, and the camera you have on your computer typically is not very good. I've got a Logitech C920 on my computer, and it tends to be good. It's like one of the best ones out there, I think. But the challenge is, since the pandemic hit and everybody's working from home, as well as kids doing learning, you can't find any C920s for under like $150. I got mine for $60 like 2-3 years ago, and it's been great. I'm sure there's other name brands that are just as good, but this is the one I bought years ago, and I use it, and it's great. And I'm sure they've had an upgrade since then. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like there's some interest in the lights. I'll search them out here on Amazon. Again, I'm not sure any of this stuff is even available anymore. But this is, I'll get the camera first. And I don't get paid anything to give you this thing. I don't have an Amazon affiliate account or anything like that. But autofocus, I guess there's a C920X, 920E. I don't know any of the differences between these. Oh, there's a C960. Wow. Yeah, I don't know what's current and relevant HD. Yeah, some of these aren't in stock. So I will pass on that one in terms of providing you a recommendation on a webcam, because it just may not be available. So let's see. Here it is. Yep, 2-pack. Let's see what price they are here. I'll get them for you. Just hang tight. $42 is what I think I probably paid less than that, but that was because pre-COVID. Yeah, let me look at my order details, see how much I paid. Yeah, $32. So they're up $10. Okay, I'll put them in the chat here so y'all can have them. And I don't know if it's not going to work for everybody, honestly. It's one of those things where if you don't have the space for it, it may or may not work for you. So that's that. I think I got my C920 at Best Buy. So if you go to bestbuy.com, what I found is they have stock in things that Amazon doesn't. And if you want, like, for instance, I've got a dynamic microphone that I utilize for the streams. It's a Logitech. No, it's a Audio Technica microphone. I mean, I found them at Best Buy. Have not found them so let's see if the C920 is here at Best Buy. I got it on special. I think I paid $60 for it. Yeah, they don't have them either. So anyway, it is what it is. If you guys have any other questions, I'm happy to answer. any questions that you have about, career, webcam. Yeah. So, but I would recommend right now, if I was to go get a microphone like the one I have here, I would get the Samson Q2U. If you can find that anywhere, that's what I would advocate, because typically those are in stock and they haven't jacked up their prices like Audio Technica has. So if that's you, get the Samson Q2U. It's a dynamic microphone. You could probably get a boom arm for it if you want to, but it comes on a stand. You could just set it off to the side of your desk. But the problem is if you hit the desk, it's going to register that noise, and it's kind of annoying. So having that is good. Having good quality audio in an interview over Zoom is important. I don't know how the audio sounds out of this thing to you guys, but versus how Craig sounded. I don't know if he was on just a regular speaker on his computer, but you can see that the camera, at least is what I can see, is good here on my side, and the audio should be really good too. So those are some of the critical success factors today in succeeding in interviews, is to have an opportunity to get people to actually hear you. They may not be able to hear you. And if they can't hear you, they can't understand you. If they can't understand you, they're probably not going to hire you. If you can learn to focus on the camera and look it in the eye and recognize that that's the person is up there and not on the screen, they're in the camera, they're up there, right? And it's hard to see, right? It's hard to see the person down below if you're doing that. I recognize that, but it isn't about you and your challenges. Good. Question in the chat. Thank you so much, Candace. I am freelancing for a startup to build their business. The responsibility is expanding to operations, business planning. It's part-time. Should I include that to fill in the gap? I'm worried that would dilute my finance focus experience. Well, what part of it is translatable? That's the big question. Because the thing is, I could list a whole bunch of disparate things on my LinkedIn, on my resume, that don't make any sense at all. It's really dependent upon your objective. What are you trying to do? So you're backfilling your time with this part-time role. Fine. That's something you can offer up at the interview. You don't have to put that on your resume or even your LinkedIn profile if you don't want to. So if it's preventing you from getting interviews, I would consider removing it, and then explain at the interview when you get it that that's what you're doing. You're doing some freelance work for business planning to support your finance skills, because finance is part of business. Business is part of finance. Great. So that's translatable, isn't it? Probably. So find things that are translatable, not things that aren't, if that makes sense. Sometimes we get too wrapped around the axle on it. So yeah, I recognize we're all impacted by the pandemic, folks. Okay. The fact that one person lost their job to the pandemic, I don't think you're the only one. And you're not alone. You're not alone in that. What we have to do is really consider that our mindset really matters right now. And if we can keep our mindset straight and recognize there's people still hiring, there's people, so here's the thing, even in a pandemic, okay, even in pandemic, do you think people retire? Do you think people get promoted? Do you think people get transferred? Right? These things happen. It's called business. These things happen every day. And if they happen every day, there's opportunity for us. The question is, are you going to get in the way of that process? Are you going to put yourself in the middle of that process so that you're at least on the short list? Okay. Now, the thing is, you may have lost a job. You didn't lose your skills. For goodness sakes, you're a CPA and a CMA. Hello, you've got credentials. People need you. There is a place for you somewhere. The question is, what are you going to do to find your spot? It's like musical chairs. And when the music stops, are you going to have a chair? Think about it from that perspective. Assume, by the way, everybody's hiring. Assume there's a place for you. Assume that your skills are valuable. And if I come to the marketplace with that mindset, I can now have conversation of strategic value with who? CFOs, VP of FP&A, right? People that lead those functions, or maybe you're that person. Because guess what? Those people turn over too. And if you're hiring at a higher level, then relationships are going to matter even more. So keep it in between the rails in terms of your emotions, because I recognize that this is a loss, and a lot of people are, I don't want to say suffering, but a lot of people are challenged right now. I get it. I get it. We're all impacted by the pandemic. The big question is, what are you going to do about it? You can't change the pandemic. It's affecting everybody. You can't change business. What can you change? You can change the 6 inches betwixt your ears. And I'm not saying that as in a demeaning way. I'm saying that in a direct way to say, hey, you know what? All of us can control our thoughts. Some better than others. I will admit, I'm not perfect at this either. Okay. So the idea is you control your thoughts and you control your activities. And if I'm working, let's say assume I'm working part-time, doing some other kind of work, fine. Let's schedule that hopefully at a time that's convenient for us, where we could batch things. Maybe I work Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and I leave Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday available for job search. I know people that have done that. I know a guy that he and I'm not going to say he was a spring chicken, but he decided to go do construction work. And here's a guy that was a technical wizard. He had a lot of skills. His skills, in my estimation, were in high demand, but he just couldn't get traction with employers on his skills. For whatever reason, he said, you know what? I'm frustrated by this. I'm just going to go do construction work. And he did. But he did it Tuesday through Friday, Wednesday through Saturday. He kept Monday and Tuesday open to do what? To do job search. So if you can have a couple days during the week, if you can work out your schedule part-time so that you have time available to interview, work out an arrangement with your employer where you're working part-time that says, hey, I recognize I'm working here part-time. If we can work that into a full-time role in finance of some kind somewhere in the organization, that's great. If not, I need to have some flexibility here so that I can interview. Would you be open to that? I'm happy to provide you this support and work for you. Let's create an agreement. Let's be honest about what's happening. Let's see if these people can have a little bit of empathy for somebody else's situation. Okay. Good. Somebody put some links in here. I don't know what these are too. Yeah, I don't recognize that webcam. I mean, I can, by the way, I can vouch for the C920. It's an exceptional product. I can't vouch for any other webcam because I haven't used any other webcam. So would I recommend any other one? No, I wouldn't. If you can get a Logitech, that's what I would go with. They're the best in the market. And if you can get them for under $100, even better. Okay. I haven't used the Samson, but I would recommend it and I would buy it. What I have is a, what is this? And this one's changed too. It's the Audio Technica ATR 2100. And you can see all these everywhere, right? Most everybody has one of these if they're doing any kind of podcasting, stuff like that. There's more expensive microphones and there's cheaper ones. Audio Technica ATR 2100. Okay. That's what I have. And it's on a boom arm. It's no big deal. This stuff is super cheap. I mean, we're looking at what I paid for it. current how would you say it? Pandemic rates for these things are much higher. And so the microphone, I think, was $60 or $70. I had it on sale. The camera was $60. These lights were $32. I mean, it starts adding up. The boom arm, I think, is $20. But once you have it, I mean, it's going to last a certain period of time and you'll have to replace it anyway. So good. Let's see here. Thank you. I'm hoping I know who this person is because it's not showing a name, but something to think about. I'm spending a good amount of time helping make connections and referrals for others for jobs. I'm finding that opportunities are coming back to me when I'm not asking for anything in return. Isn't that funny? You know what that's called? That's called a paradox. The paradox is things cannot be out of alignment. Things can't be out of, how would you say it? Equilibrium, homeostasis. Not that they're going to stay that way, but if I've contributed enough, at some point there's going to be this shift, right? Where things will come back into balance. And it's this constant give and take. And the thing is, thank you, Bill. Appreciate that clarification. The thing is, it makes you a resource. It doesn't make you a person anticipating or looking for employment. It makes you a human that people can relate to and appreciate. It makes you trustworthy. So keep doing that. There's a good book about that, actually, that I read when I was with a BNI group. BNI is Business Network International. It's called Giver's Gain. And if you haven't read that book, it's a pretty similar kind of thing where giver's gain is a good idea. So good stuff. Any other questions out there? Happy to answer. If you want to come on live, just click the link in the description. Happy to do that. Just stick your questions in the chat. I'll answer them there. Or if you want to come on live, there is a link in the description. You could come on live. We don't have the fancy background in the studio here today. We're kind of going unplugged, if you will, from the super cool background. But you can see I got a lot of windows in this room, and doing this kind of recording in the summertime would not be possible. Everything would be washed out. But it's the winter time, and the sun's lower in the sky, and there's plenty of clouds. Well, there's actually a little blue sky out there. How about that? Anyway, if you do have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. I'm happy to answer. The Go Giver. Yeah, I've read The Go Giver. That's a good one. It's called Giver's Gain. Giver's Gain. So if you have that, great. Let me see if I can get here. There we go. Okay. Yeah, Giver's Gain. It's the guy who started Business Network International. I can't remember his name, but it's a doctor something or other. Giver's Gain. Yeah, The Go Giver is a good book. I've got the audiobook and the hardcover. It's actually a book on sales. The one I would really advocate for many people that relates directly to job search and networking is Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I was not one to enjoy his writing style, but I did understand the 7 habits. They made sense to me. So I have them on my wall, and I look at them every day, and I institute those principles when I'm coaching people. So if that's you, think about it. You be proactive. What is the nature of networking? By nature, it's proactive. You have to identify somebody to have a conversation with that's unique and strategic for both parties. Application resume, non-proactive. That's not a proactive step. That's you reacting to something that happened, a stimulus response. And that's reactive by nature. So application resume is not proactive. That goes against Covey's 7 principles. What's the next one? Begin with the end in mind. Well, the end in mind I want is an interview, right? So I'm thinking, okay, in networking, I may want an interview. Well, what's an interview in a networking scenario? It's just a dialogue. It's a conversation. It's the view between us. So if the outcome tangible is an interview, then I recognize that the outcome tangible is not a job. Does that make sense to everybody? So when I'm looking at an interview itself, the outcome tangible, the end in mind, is another interview or another offer or whatever, right? There's every interaction you have can be absolutely extrapolated to the 7 habits. Okay. What's the next one? I got it up on the wall here. Put first things first. First things first. So if I knew that networking was the number one way to find work today, would I do application resumes all day and then do networking second? No, I would do my networking first because I'm putting first things first. If that makes sense. What's the next one? Think first or think win-win. Win-win, right? So if I go into a networking situation and I present my resume and say, hey, how can you help me? Is that win-win? No, that's win-lose or all about me. Win-win is, hey, tell me about you. How can I help you? How can we help each other? It's equal status in front of each other. Okay. Yeah, the 7 Habits is also in an audiobook form. I recognize that. I think I have it somewhere. Again, I just look at the 7 Habits and I can relate to them. And there's a lot of tech, there's a lot of research and deep understanding behind it. I'm more of the type of person that looks at it and says, what can I take from this? So if we're thinking win-win, we need to make sure that we're understanding the other person's needs over our own so that we can at some point achieve a 50-50, right? What's next on that list? Seek first to understand, then be understood. Doesn't that translate exactly to a networking conversation? If I'm having a conversation with somebody, it's a networking situation. I want to understand them first. If a recruiter reaches out to me and I don't know who they are or who they represent, shouldn't I seek first to understand what they're trying to present me and what they're trying to sell me, and seek to understand when and how they're going to follow up with me? So thanks, Terry. Good to see you. Be well. Synergize. I like that one. It's not one that I think about very often, but synergize means, hey, this is us working, rowing the boat in the same direction. So sometimes when we come into a networking situation, it's opposed. Okay. So the idea is we're opposed, but then we join and then we move in the same direction. So part of networking is leading somebody somewhere. And what does that mean? Well, if I reach out to somebody and we have a conversation and it starts like this, I can start asking questions to lead me where I want to go. Where is it when I want to go in a networking situation? Well, I'd like to get an interview with somebody else. And an interview could be an informational interview or a job interview. It's an interview. It's another person. So I'm going to maybe ask about what are the 2 or 3 people at Amazon in supply chain logistics optimization. I'd love to learn about what they're doing in that space. I now have an ask, and I'm leading somebody in a direction I'd like to go without demanding it. So that's synergize. What's the last one? Sharpen the saw. We should all be sharpening the saw, shouldn't we? Learning how to network better, learning how to communicate better, learning how to use Excel pivot tables better, right? If there's things that you want to sharpen the saw on, I'm never going to say no, but I think that's the last habit on purpose. Anyway, sharpen the saw. So those are the 7 habits. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Yes, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you, Teresa. Appreciate that. For those of you who celebrate, how can we demonstrate gratitude this next week to people we know? Are you going to maintain your person a day challenge? Let me know in the chat. Are you going to do that? Are you going to maintain your person a day challenge? The Cali Brain quick overview is helpful. 7 habits. Yep. Sharpen the saw, invest in yourself. Yes. All of these things matter. I believe they're in a certain formula or order on purpose. So do your study on that. All right, folks. Well, I promised to be here for an hour. I'm here. I was here for an hour. Thank you for coming. Connect with each other. Initiate conversation. Take me up on the double down. 2 people a day for the rest of the year. 2 people a day, rest of the year. Yes, Linda, thank you. 2 people a day for the rest of the year. Every day you decide to participate in job search. I'm not suggesting you look at your calendar and clear out all of your personal time. No, I'm suggesting you establish your personal time first, being proactive, right? 7 habits. Be proactive, establish those days and times you don't want to work, that you want to be with family, that you're taking time off. And then every day you do work, 2 people. That's it. So maybe that's in 6 weeks. Maybe that's 25 days. Okay. 6 times 7 is 42. Half that time. 21 days, 2 people. That's 42 people by between now and the end of the year. Could you do 42 people between now and the end of the year? Right? What was that? 5 times 6, 30. Yeah. So that would be, let's say 20 days. 20 days between now and the end of the year that you're going to participate in job search, and you're going to do 2 people each day. That's 40 people. 40 people. Could you imagine what would happen in January if you met 40 people between now and the end of the year? Could you imagine? How are you going to keep track of that? I mean, it's going to be so challenging. Okay. Well, I don't know. I mean, if I agree with you that Excel is fun, I use it and I understand it, but I don't want to be a specialist in it. So I know enough about it just to be effective in what I'm attempting to do. So please, if you could, just share this out with your networks. If you want to, go ahead and just send it in a private message. If you don't want to share it, you know, to your networks on whatever you're on, whether you're on YouTube or Periscope or Facebook or LinkedIn. If you don't want to share it to those networks, fine. Share it in a private message. Think about the 2 or 3 people you believe might benefit from a broadcast like this. So if you find this helpful, please share it with somebody. Put it out there. Gain us some exposure, if you would. And that's not for my benefit. I'm doing this for free. You know, I don't hope to gain anything out of this. You know, if you go to my website and want to procure services, I'm not going to say no, but I'm not here promoting that service. And the views that are expressed here are my own. They're not associated with anybody that I'm working for or with. So if you could share this out with somebody, be happy to have that conversation. All right, folks. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you next Friday. I will be here day after Thanksgiving, Lord willing. It might be on my mobile phone, but I don't know. I guess we'll figure that out when we get there. Take care, be well, stay safe, and 2 people a day. That's all we're asking. Bye, everybody.